Good morning. Welcome to this morning service. It's good to see all of you here in the Hondo, as well as those of you joining us on the internet. We're approaching the end of summer. Next week is our Labor Day weekend already. And I've been saying, I don't know, I had this in my head that we're not having a service, but actually next Sunday we will have a service, our regular 10 o'clock service. I think because on our calendar, I don't have anything, and I thought, oh, that's strange. But anyway, in any case, so that we will have a service. We will observe a service next Sunday at our regular 10 o'clock service time. So please join us for our regular Sunday service next week. The following week, though, is when we will get very active here. Everything will start up. On the 11th, we'll begin all of our activities here at the temple. So, end of summer, starting fall, things are beginning to warm up again, starting up again, and bringing activities back to the temple. This morning, if you would please join us in the reading of Sambujo, followed by Junirai. This morning, if you would please join us in the reading of Sambujo, followed by Junirai. Again, good morning and welcome to this morning's service. This morning we have two guests who are here to participate in a special training session that is taking place at the Jodo Shinshu Center. We're fortunate to have join us this morning Bishop Tatsuya Aoki. Thank you very much. I think Aoki Sensei. Then I tried to remember Tatsuya, and then I forgot Aoki. But Aoki Sensei is the bishop of the Buddhist Churches of Canada. Welcome. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. And we also have Katsuya Kusunoki arigato. Who is the Reverend Kusunoki is the Rinban of the Seattle Betsuin. So they join us this morning. Thank you very much for being here this morning. Thank you very much. So there's no pressure, but Sumi will be our guest speaker this morning. But I'm always happy to introduce Sumi as our Dharma message, to give our Dharma message this morning. Sumi?
Good morning. Would you please turn to page 8 for the reading of the three treasures? Please stand. Hard is it to be born into human life. Now we're living it. Difficult is it to hear the teachings of the Blessed One. Now we hear it. If we do not realize the truth in this life, when will it be realized? Let us reverently take refuge in the three treasures of the truth. I take refuge in the Buddha. May we absorb ourselves in the principle of the way to enlightenment and awaken in ourselves a supreme will. I take refuge in the Dharma. May we be submerged in the depths of the doctrine and gain wisdom as deep as the ocean. I take refuge in the Sangha. May we live in harmony in the great assemblies as disciples of Buddha and be freed from all hindrances, becoming units of true accord in the life of harmony, in a spirit of universal oneness, freed from the bondage of selfishness. Even through myriad ages of kalpas, hard is it to hear such an excellent, profound, and wonderful doctrine. Now we are able to hear and receive it. Let us thoroughly understand the true meaning of Tathagata's teaching. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. So as we hear Rinban say that this is not going to be the last summer service, so be sure to come back next Sunday. Again, good morning to all of you here in the Hondo and at home. Please join me in Gassho. This is from Toyo Shibata in her book of poems, Don't Lose Heart. Born in 1911, she died in 2013 at 101 years of age. Paul, if you have a picture of her to show on the screen. What's amazing about this woman is that she began to write poetry when she was in her 90s. How many of you heard of her? Anyone? I did not either, but I found this book in my bookshelf, Don't Lose Heart, and I don't even remember when I bought this book, but I do think that it was during Nihonmachi Day of Remembrance, because on that day, there's various book vendors and they sell various written materials. And it was kind of like a heartfelt thing to understand that this woman who wrote this book of poetry was in her 90s. Not only that, but she was also very close to her mother. As noted in many of her poems, she talks about her mother. Words that I uttered casually without thinking how much they might hurt someone, and only afterwards realizing what I had done, I would hurry to visit what was in that person's heart. And while I say, I'm sorry, go to work with eraser and pencil to correct what I have said. Namo Amidabus, Namo Amidabus, Namo Amidabus. So, how are you doing? We still had the pandemic, unfortunately, still going on. I thought by this time the pandemic would be over, or at least dissipate, but then we hear of new variants all the time. The war in Ukraine is still raging on. People are suffering with inflation, high cost of living. Our gas prices in California has come down, so that's one bit of good news. We are still divided in this country. The last time I was here, I talked about the 6 paramitas, and I focused on the first one, dana, giving with no strings attached, unselfish giving. Today, I would like to talk about the third paramita, patience. I find this one the most difficult. I shall be patient and understanding, and will endure difficulties without getting angry. How many of you, raise your hand, also have trouble with patience? Wow, a bunch of honest people in the Hondo. Yes. I lose patience when I hear about millions of supporters supporting the past president. I lose patience with dictators like Putin. I lose patience with my favorite San Francisco Giants when they play poor baseball. I lose patience with those who exclude others due to their being different from them. I lose patience with those who believe climate change has nothing to do with humans. I lose patience when my grandson's dog refuses to go outside to pee. I lose patience with some of my neighbors who water their lawns that they're so nice and green when we have this terrible drought going on in California. Every day is a challenge with patience. Next year, the World Buddhist Women's Convention will be in Japan. Our minister, Rinban Sakamoto, his wife, Mrs. Sakamoto, Rinban Mikame, and BW members will be attending this special event, as it is a celebration of Shinran's, our founder's, birthday, 850th birthday. I wish I could attend, but I can't due to my poor health. However, I did attend the one in Kyoto in 2011. How could we forget that year? It was May 11, 2011, when the 8.9 earthquake struck. The tremors were the result of a violent uplifting of the seafloor 80 miles off the coast of Sendai. The tsunami was very destructive, and then the horrible Fukushima nuclear power plant was affected, and there were concerns about radiation. Years later, the people were unable to return to their homes. Japan Federation of Buddhist Women were hosting the convention that year, and they were thinking of canceling. But women from all over Japan said, no, don't cancel. They advocated continuing on with the convention because they wanted something positive to happen. Thousands of women delegates throughout the world did cancel out. Here at San Jose Group, we did go, but some of our members canceled. It was much smaller, but we did go. A percentage of Toyo Shibata's book of poems is going to the victims of that 2011 disaster. Toyo Shibata was born in 1911, the only daughter of Tomizo and Yasu Morishima. They were rice merchants. Toyo experienced earthquakes and bombings from B-29s. Her mother worked very, very hard. When Toyo was 20, she married a man by arrangement, and it was a terrible marriage. They divorced within half of a year. Toyo moved with her parents, and she did odd jobs, and she learned how to sew. She met a man while working in a restaurant, and they married. They had a son named Keinichi. Toyo began to write poetry at her son's urging because she was sad that a bad back prevented her from dancing. She really enjoyed dancing. At that time, she was over 90 years old. One of her poems was published in the Morning Poem. She would begin with pencil and paper, and when Kenichi came to visit, they would rewrite the words. Through writing poetry, Toyo learned that life was not all hardship and sadness. She learned patience. She stated, no matter how alone you are or how lonely, you can always find things to think about. That's why I write that life always starts now and morning will always come, no matter who you are. Toyo Shibata inspired a nation to become a folk hero to the Japanese. She symbolized hope for the discouraged, tired of 2 decades of recession, and to the victims of the great tsunami, earthquake, and radiation fallout. It has been revealed that 13,469 children, or 35% of children, had thyroid cysts associated with the radiation fallout. It has also been reported that 69% of the children tested positive for diabetes. The future of the children of Fukushima is still very uncertain. Toyo was 98 years old when Don't Lose Heart was published. It sold 1.58 million copies. It was good when a book of poetry sold 10,000 copies in Japan during that time. Here are 2 of her poems. The first one, Closing My Eyes. When I close my eyes, I see myself in braids, full of life and happily running around. My mother's voice calls out to me. White clouds sail across the sky over an endless field of mustard blossoms. Now at 92, I close my eyes and fleeting glimpses of that past world bring me so much pleasure. Another poem, To You, number 1. Just because you think you can't do something is no reason to go around and go timid. In my 96 years, there's been mountains of things I couldn't do: devotion to my parents, education of my child, things I should have learned, but I kept on trying with all my spirit as best as I could. For isn't that, after all, the most important thing? Come now, get to your feet and go grab a hold of something so you won't have such regrets remaining when all is said and done. I think that Toyo Shibata found throughout her life how at times she was impatient and was frustrated, but she learned to face those difficulties. The third paramita, patience. She learned that everything was connected and rejoiced in that discovery. Let's learn from her experiences and try to practice patience. Please join me in Gassho. From Toyo Shibata Zonru's heart. If I feel lonely, when I am lonely, I scoop up the sun rays that shine through the door and press them against my face. Once, twice, often more. Their warmth is the warmth of my mother whispering, "Oh, Mom, I'll be okay." I get up to my feet. Namo Amidabus. Namo Amidabus. Namo Amidabus. Thank you very much for your patience.
Thank you, Sumi. Yeah, that was a real terrible time with Fukuoka and Fukuoka, Fukushima. Yeah, I remember a lot of people canceled out from that BWA World Conference. But there were enough of us that were planning to go and continued on to that conference. Meeting others in those very challenging times, I'm sure left a great impression. And again, reminding us of our need for patience. I try to be patient, but I'm not so successful. I also need to practice more often patience. Thank you very much for your message this morning. Did we have a Gatha? We do. Oh, okay. What are we singing? Paul Endo is our tech person, and then Brandon Uenaka is a trainee this morning. First time, Brandon. Thank you. What are we singing? I'm a Link. Oh, okay. I'm a Link. Do you have that in your book? We may need to distribute I Am a Link. So you're going to have to wait. Where is Dennis? Hi, Dennis. So I think these books in the back. Oh, Gilbert, thank you. While we were waiting for Dennis, I contacted Gordon Ate, who is the composer and arranger of this song, and I contacted him about must be almost 2 months ago now. No, might be in the closet back here. And I asked Gordon, because our organist would often play this, and I really enjoy this music. And I called Gordon, and I asked him, would it be okay to transcribe your music into shakuhachi music? And shakuhachi, as some of you may know, is an end-blown flute. It's basically a whistle with holes. It's kind of like a recorder, but it's a very old instrument originating probably most likely in China, and then was brought to Japan in maybe the mid 500s, mid 6th century, and became a part of imperial court music, gagaku music. And then, no luck. Okay. Do we have Seiya in our books? We do? Okay. So let me finish this story. And so eventually Gordon said yes, that he would be happy to have it translated into shakuhachi music. And So after I got his okay, it's been 2 months, and I haven't gotten back to him. Sorry, Gordon, I'll get back to you. I think I'm about ready to, well, the music has already been done, but see, it's not in here, is it?
226.
Ah, there it is, 226. Okay, if you please rise and join in the Gatha Seiya on 226. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda, 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 Namanda. Thank you. Please be seated. Thank you for joining us for this morning's service, and to our guests, thank you for coming all the way down from Berkeley and from Canada and from Seattle and joining us for today's service. It's really nice to be able to have you here this morning. Are there any announcements aside from that? I do have this correction that we will have a service next week on the 4th, and on the 11th we'll begin our regular services. We start our Dharma school and our adult service at 10:10. Dharma school service starts at 9:30. And when is organization day? Was that day, Dennis? Yeah, it is the 11th, right? So organizations, all of our organizations will have booths in the annex building where you can come and get information, and if you'd like to join or participate in any of those organizations, you'll have an opportunity to kind of learn from them what they're involved with. So next Sunday, we continue with our summer schedule at 10 o'clock, and then the following Sunday we'll begin our regular service schedule. 9:30 Dharma school, followed by 10:10 adult English service. So please come and join us for that. I think that may also be there will be a Japanese language service at 11 on that Sunday as well. So a lot of things going on. Please come and join us for all of the things that are starting up again on September the 11th. Thank you very much, everyone, for your participation. And Paul and Brandon, thank you very much. Please enjoy the rest of the summer. Thank you. Please come forward for Oshoko. Namanda, 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 namanda. Thank you very much, everyone.